Good afternoon. Regular session, Mayor City Council meeting at 6:30, Wednesday, April 2nd, 2014, City Hall Complex. I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation will be done by Pastor Ben Winky, Crossroads, Nogales Mission. Pastor Winky, please. Oh, yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bless you guys. Isaiah 9:6 says it this way: "A child is born, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. His name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace." Father, bless these men as they lead this city. Bless these women as they lead this city. On them rest the shoulders of the hope of these people in this city. We're not the biggest town, but we've got more heart. We've got more love. We've got more long suffering. We've got more forgiveness. We've got more ability to reach beyond the borders to the hearts of the people. God bless these people as they make decisions for this whole city. In His name we ask, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please be seated. Item number 4, call to the public. Madam Clerk, did we receive any?
No, I don't have any.
I tried to get one to you.
Where is it?
Here in the briefcase.
Do you want to speak and call to the public?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead. State your name and your address for the record, please, and you have 2 minutes.
My name is Prince Richard Casimir. I have different names. I live at 183 and 191 East Beck. I wish to discuss the financialization of the county and the city by arbitrage. This is what Dr. William Boyd Gregory and I have been working on for quite some time, and we'll be making a trip to Mexico, and then to Panama, then to Ghana, then to England, then to Liechtenstein, China, back here. So we'll discuss those details in private later. I gave you a paper yesterday by way of your secretary.
Yes, sir.
We'll discuss it later, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anybody else who wants to speak and talk to the public? Okay, we'll continue. Item number 5, general. Presentation, quarterly report, Nogales Chamber of Commerce. Is there, Representative Olivia, will you do the presentation? State your name and your address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. My name is Olivia Ainsa, and I'm the president for the Nogales Chamber of Commerce. And I'm here to give the quarterly report. And I forward some information to Leticia to forward to you about the new project that the Chamber is doing. Due to the constant requests from visitors about getting souvenirs from Nogales, we did some project where we're going to be posting, well, we're going to be doing some postcards and keychain, different souvenirs, and I brought you some so you can see it, and these are just drafts. And thanks to Planeta Nogales, Mr. Bruce Walton, he is a photographer that is helping us with the pictures. And this is something that we're presenting to the visitors, especially the people from Canada. They want to take something from Nogales, and we don't have anything that shows Nogales, so we went ahead and did this. And people have been accepting the souvenirs. They like the keychains, they like the posters, and most of all, the postcards. This, like I said, are just drafts because we decided to go ahead and redo with a better picture reception, is that what you said? Resolution, I'm sorry, resolution. So that's another thing that we're doing right now. In January, we saw a decrease in visitors from coming to Nogales or Santa Cruz County. And we did some inquiries about why we were seeing a decrease from previous years in the month of January. And what was affected, it was the visitors from East not coming to Nogales, and not getting to this area. So they went ahead and did their trip or their visit in February. We saw an increase on more visitors. Unfortunately, the majority of these visitors were not crossing to Mexico. They were from Canada back east, and they were running away from the cold weather. Okay, so that's another thing that we've been doing with the visitors, just tracking where are we getting and where are they staying. We also getting another project with this, where we're going to be requesting the visitors that comes to the visitor center to write their email, so we can go ahead and send information about the festivals, whatever we promote to them. Okay. And Mr. Henesian, you were asking the last time, how come every time that you travel to different areas, you wanted to see Nogales? So I went ahead and got a report for you, and I want to show you, and I think this report was sent to the mayor in October of last year. The company that provides the displays on hotels, airports, and different visitor centers. I talked to them, and they sent me the information, and I think they sent you all the information last October, okay? And I went ahead and made you a copy just for you to see how much it would cost us. The request that I had for them to see if they could go ahead and give us like a proposal on how much it would cost us and where the visitors are coming and where they're passing. We went ahead and solicited to see if we were interested in displaying brochures from Nogales in Phoenix, the Colorado River, and also by Casa Grande and let's see, Casa Grande and the Cavasu, that was the other one. Okay, we requested to see if we could put it on the Phoenix area, Picacho, Casa Grande, the Grand Canyon, and Colorado River, because most of the visitors, they come from that area, or they are passing through those areas. And the total of visitor center, or not visitor center, but sites that we could get in Phoenix will be 426 sites. The one that we had in Casa Grande, there were 32. Grand Canyon 236, Colorado River 124 displays or visitors or hotels, different areas where they could go ahead and have the Nogales brochure. But if we were going to go ahead and make a contract with them to go ahead and have our brochure, our information about Nogales, it would cost us $14,000, almost $15,000 to have it there. And I think you had requested Phoenix and Tucson too. The reason why I requested to see how much it would cost us to distribute this information on the different sites on these areas is because we see the majority of the visitors coming through those areas. Now this is between hotels, restaurants, RV parks, gas stations, different places where we could go ahead and display the Nogales brochure. Now with that, this company will service this displays like 80% of the location every week, which means that they will be replacing the information on these sites every week. On those lower locations, they will go ahead and display the brochure every 2 weeks. That's how they will say. But at the same time, I also requested to see if we could go ahead and have something at the airports, and they told me that no, they don't service the Sky Harbor or Tucson. We have to call them directly, go ahead and see if they can go ahead and get that information. But I wanted to provide the information just because you were concerned about that. Anything else? Any questions?
One question. Is the 14,000 per year?
Yes, sir.
Annual fee?
Annual fee. And that is only to go ahead and service the displays of the brochure.
We have to provide the support.
Either we could go ahead and buy the brochures from them, okay? But just to give you an example, if we were deciding, let's say, to go ahead and have it just on the Phoenix area, which will be 426 sites, we will have to have a quantity of 60,000 brochures, so they can go ahead and do it on a yearly basis and replace it every week. But the cost of that, it will be just the 14,000 on that, and that's it. But that would not include the cost of the brochures.
It's good information. It's good to know. Because I know we've been asking about that, and at least we have an idea of cost and what direction we could.
I can email you all the information and that, the proposal that they send me and how this will be distributed, but, I mean, this 14,000 will be yearly. Yes,
I just want
Councilman.
to thank you, Mrs. Ainsa, for the rest of the information you gave us. We have on our iPads with the graphs and everything else that you placed there. It's very nice and it's very important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're doing a good job, lady.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Item number 2, public hearing, extension of the alternative expenditure limitation, home rule. Mr. Dilly, to open that up, or?
Mr. Mayor, why don't we just go through just a couple of minutes by way of background and then open it up for public hearing?
Okay.
Is that okay?
Okay, go ahead, sir.
I think that'll kind of pave the way for any kind of input, and then also you have a future item on your agenda for action tonight. Again, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we're following required steps placed by the Arizona State statute in moving forward with an expenditure limitation ballot process called the home rule. Again, basically what the home rule option is a choice a community needs to make, a home rule community every 4 years that would enable the local governing body, the local city council, the ability to dictate your budgets based off of your revenues, your resources, and how you choose to use those resources as an elected body for your constituents here. Absent a home rule option, a community is limited to a preset formula-driven budget that was set in place, years and years ago, early '80s, and it sets your expenditure limitation for your community. And we talked before, the formula is in largely based off of population and inflation. And so way back in the early '80s, there was a baseline established for all the home rule communities, and then there's inflation and population counts that go out from the Department of Revenue every year, every quarter actually, every year, in terms of giving you those inflation numbers and those population numbers. You use the prescribed formulas to derive your budget, and if you don't have a home rule in your community, then you're limited to just that. It doesn't matter, again, we use the example, it doesn't matter if you earn $1 million in revenue and resources, if that state-imposed limitation says you can only spend $100,000, you're only spending $100,000. You get to choose what you're going to spend that $100,000 on, but you don't get to spend the rest of it. You don't lose the rest of it. It goes into your bank account. You just can't use it. And so home rule is an incredibly important option for communities. There is another option called the permanent base adjustment option. That option is one that we needed to be discussing probably a couple of years ago if it was going to be something we wanted to move forward with, and typically is for communities that don't anticipate any growth either in geographic dimension or in population. They understand what's going to happen year in, year out. It's something that we can consider maybe down the road if we want to, but right now there just quite simply isn't any time to consider that type of option. Home rule has been something that this community has done, every 4 years since that got put into place through legislation. We did it in 2010, and we need to do it again this year. So tonight is a prescribed open hearing or public hearing. It's the second of those, and then further on the agenda, there's an option for you to take action in putting it on a ballot for our primary election in August. Happy to answer any questions. I know that this is old news for you. We've gone through it a couple of times. It's just a reiteration of how important this is for our community, and again, we need to get the word out, and as we're rubbing shoulders with people in our own social circles, we need to be explaining the facts and guiding them to where they can go for more information if they have questions.
Mr. Dilly, could you give the numbers of what would be the difference? I think Mr. White said it was 16 million. Is that what you said last time?
Yeah, more or less.
So again, every quarter those numbers may change. These are just estimates. We've been talking with the Auditor General's office, with the Department of Revenue, with the League of Arizona Cities. What we make sure that we do is we use the latest and greatest information available when we go to put the information on the ballot. But based off of the information we have today, we're looking at roughly a $16–17 million cut in our total operating budget if home rule doesn't pass. And just to put that into perspective, our general fund operating budget is in the $20 million range. So it just puts it into perspective how impactful the home rule ballot measure is for any community in the state. And there are examples of communities that, for one reason or another, haven't been successful in passing the home rule. If it doesn't pass, the earliest you can get it back on the ballot is 2 years. You have to operate in that situation for 2 years, and then you can get it back on the ballot for consideration. And I can't identify a community that did not immediately put it back on the ballot for consideration, because it really is a tough situation to experience.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Dewey, in other words, I mean, let's say, what is our total budget? Somewhere close to 60?
53. Yeah, it's 53, around there.
53 million. So where would these 16 million be cut from? From their general fund?
It would be across the board. We would have to make that decision.
It would be across the board, like in the HER fund. It would also be, is the water and garbage and sanitation, are they or the sewer, are they included in that?
Those would be impacted.
They would be impacted
They
also.
would be impacted.
Even though they're enterprise funds?
Yeah. Here's the thing: expenditure limitation is expenditure limitation.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
You have caps. I mean, when you set when you adopt the tentative budget as a city council, that establishes an expenditure limitation. It does not matter if we get more revenue than we anticipated. You set that expenditure limitation. That's all we can spend for that year. Basically, what we're doing is we're saying, okay, now the state gets to decide what your tentative budget is in establishing that expenditure limitation, and we have to figure out how to operate within that. So,
in your opinion, looking at the amount of employees, if we were to have to cut 16 million, we would have to eliminate what, 50% of employees?
I can't give you that number. All I can tell you is that I don't want to experience that.
But it would be somewhere in that area.
None of us want to experience that.
No, I agree.
So,
but a lot of times the public gets mixed information, right? Either we're all on board or we're not. And sometimes I don't feel all the council is on board. But
when we were going, sorry for the interruption, Vice Mayor, but when we were going through some of the budget discussions to reduce expenditures back in the summer of 2010, I mean, we were talking about things like, okay, instead of mowing the lawn, 3 times a week, we're just going to mow the lawn once a week, kind of discussion. Well, if home rule doesn't pass, we're not talking that anymore. We're talking about jobs. We're talking about closing parks. We're talking about things that are on that level, things that are a lot more severe, a lot more significant, and public safety isn't exempted from that either. I mean, it's going to be an experience none of us really want to have.
no, I agree.
Go ahead.
I've been asked as of today by 7 people, and apparently they are mislead of information. because most of them, when they ask me, they have a completely different idea of what's going on. And they're against it because the radio is against it.
Yes.
Really, it's 7 people. When they asked me, I told them, I explained them, and that's not what they thought it was. So are we really understanding what's going on?
Or does everybody here
You
understand?
know, it's very simple to explain to the people. Just tell them what the expenditure limitation is all about. And tell them what happens if we over this expenditure limitation, home will get fined. And we need the home loan. So you have, don't start going up, giving more information, but that's about the bottom line you can come up with.
Well, of course, I give them the necessary information, but what they have in mind, it's what they're hearing in the radio, really. And it's wrong, because that's not really the fact.
Yeah, because the message is said, the message.
It's a different
is
message
not-
they're getting.
No.
So, 4 years ago, you know, I know that I made presentations to the Rotary, to the Lions. I know that I made, you know, presentations to a bunch of different PTA groups in a whole bunch of schools here in the community. You know, but I was doing that closer to when the election was happening. Sometimes you get all that information out right now, and then they forget, or there's other, you know, there's other things that get in the way, and you know, we need to be talking about this constantly. Don't think that one time talking about it is enough. We need to talk about it constantly. We need to, you know, if people have questions, you know, I know we have our finance staff. I'm available, John's available. All of us are available to meet with any group that you guys have, that you know, if there's a group of people that have a certain question, we'll meet with them. We'll answer their questions, we'll make sure that they have the information that they need to make an informed decision, which is really important, because not all the time when you hear something on the radio, not all the time even when you hear something from a family member, it's accurate information. So, you know, I always think that the best source is the horse's mouth, and if we've got a group of people that have questions, by all means, let staff help them, and you can be there, but we'll provide the information that they need. And then as we get closer to election, we might have to think, you know, different strategies on getting that word out again. But these are necessary steps to get something on the ballot, and that's what we're here for tonight.
It's going to pass.
It passed 4 years ago,
It's
but we didn't have the media. We didn't have the media against it like we do now. So I don't want to take anything for granted. I think that it's important that we.
I think there's a point of confusion here. It's not the media that's against it. People call in and they give their opinions, and the impact is negative. So we need to talk to that media that's giving that outlet, so that they'll see it in a positive light. Because if somebody just from the general public calls and they have a live open mic, they're going to affect you know, a lot of people throughout the community. But if we send somebody out to give the right information, then and answer their questions, that'll ease their fears and their doubts. But if you don't do that, then of course you're going to end up with a lot of confusion out there. And that can be negative.
It's actually the commentator on the radio saying it, not the people that call. Okay, the person behind the mic that says it.
Yeah, they direct it. I mean, it's funny how if you call in and you want to say something positive on the radio, they never get through. The only thing they will get through is something negative, and there's certain people fueling that, and the station understands that, right? So as far as sending somebody there to try to explain it, it's not going to happen, because they control the voice. It's like we control the voice here, they control the voice there. Now, the good thing is 90% of people don't listen to this. That's the good thing. And the bad deal is that there's
nothing to worry about.
Yeah, well, and the good thing is that it's only one station doing it, because everybody else
is all right.
Yeah, that's the good thing about it. But it's true. As a council, we need to be together in this.
Yes,
If any of us go in a different direction and say something in the media or the newspaper or anything, that could affect this very bad.
Well, that's why we have these dialogues, that's why we're here, so we can have an open discussion, we can make sure that any questions that we have are out there and that we're answering them, and hopefully everybody sees how important this is.
This happened to the school at one time. I remember back when the school failed to get their pass to, and what happened to them too. So it could easily happen to the city of Nogales, and let's hope that that doesn't happen. Because it would be a tough time sitting on this dais, even if it's for 2 years, trying to figure out what we're gonna do for the services of the city of Nogales. Let alone just picking up trash, or if you think you have problems with a pothole in the middle of the street, you're gonna have problems then, because we can't spend the money and do the things properly. And you know, it's not something that cities look for. This comes from the state. This is not our, you know, this is not something that we decided to put up and put it every 4 years. It's something that's tough, but I mean, we can get through with this. It just has to be that we all have to be on board.
I think it's a good idea to have everybody get somebody to go to every radio station and stuff. I believe that's a good idea. So every little station, sure. I mean, you gotta.
It's only one station, Cesar. The other one, Mark, and what's the name of the other one? Nothing.
Somebody say anything. There's only one station talking
Go
negative.
to that station and have somebody talk.
I might consider having, Mucho over to my office and answering specific questions that he might have.
Sure.
I've done that before with him.
Take out your checkbook when you do that.
No. If he's interested in putting the information out, then that's one thing. I would ask him to beforehand give me the actual questions that he's going to ask. That's how I handled it before. And he stuck to those questions and I stuck to those answers, and we were on our way. So if he's interested in doing something like that, I might be.
And make sure that there's no phone calls coming in from their little friends, those 5 people that call every day, because you won't get your point across.
Anyway, I think the point that needs to be on the ground, on the floor, that we leave this discussion with, is that home rule, what it is it allows the voters to put people into place in our local governing body to make decisions that affect them in their lives here in the community that they live. If home rule doesn't pass, then basically the community is giving up that type of authority and giving it to the state that's going to establish our expenditure limitation, right, wrong, or indifferent. And it doesn't matter who I need to talk to, it doesn't matter who staff needs to talk to, it shouldn't matter who we need to talk to. The point is that it's that important for our community. I'm very fond of Nogales. I'm confident, I have confidence in our community. We went before them in the fall of 2010. We put information out there, and home rule passed with a huge margin. If I'm not mistaken, it was like 64% in favor. It's rare that you see an election turnout like that on anything these days. I'd like to believe in my heart of hearts that that's going to be the outcome again for our community. But at the same time, I don't want to rest. I don't think we can afford to do that. I think this is that kind of an issue, and it's very important, and we need to just make sure that it's a success at the end of the day.
Go ahead.
Hi, Kurt Prendergast, 472 West Walnut Street. What you're talking about with the radio station giving false information, can you tell us what they're saying and how it's wrong?
Because they're just saying, vote no.
There's no argument behind it?
To tell the truth, I don't want to even say it.
I hate to say this, I have not heard it. I only been listening to the station maybe 6 months or so, I have not. But
from what some people have told me, that's all I can tell you, Rick.
Say vote no.
I haven't heard it myself. I spoke to Lucho and he said he was trying to, he doesn't believe that, voting against is a good thing for Nogales. I mean, he's for the home. So I haven't heard, I tune in every once in a while and I haven't heard anything negative about that home rule. Who's hearing it? I don't know.
You better listen to it, because I don't even want to say the words they're saying.
So
Not in
you can
public.
always call the radio station and ask them for their own personal opinion. But I'm a little surprised right now because I haven't heard anything since the last time we spoke about it. And since you didn't say anything else, I figured it was taken care of.
Sir, I don't want it to be misunderstood. I haven't heard anything, but I haven't listened either. So,
Yeah.
so since the last time, I haven't heard anything.
So if nobody's heard anything, you know, we can always verify by calling the radio station and see what their stance is.
You get a chance, tune into it.
Thank you.
So I guess you would open your public hearing, Mr. Mayor, members of
Yes.
the council, and
I'll open this public hearing and see if there's anybody that wants to say anything in the public. Go ahead.
Okay, we still don't have a bicycle rack in front. If a bicycle fell down and somebody tripped over it, we would have a bad suit. I got the bicycle rack established over at the county courthouse, and now I'm working on getting an automatic opener.
We're not talking about that, sir, right now. We're
Right.
talking about home rule.
Okay, this is home rule.
Okay, please take a seat. Is there anybody else that wants to say anything about reference to home rule? Anybody? Going once, going twice? Okay, nothing? I guess we'll pass home rule now, the public hearing, and we'll continue later on this. We've got item number 3. Consideration of budget update FY 2014-2015. Mr. Dillon.
thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Included in your information for tonight's meeting was or is the preliminary budget, first version of that anyway. What we wanted to do is just give you a little bit of an introduction to the budget and set the stage for the kind of dialogue that we're going to need to have at your special work session meeting, which is scheduled for the 9th of August, or April, sorry, next Wednesday. So let me just go into that here real quick with you. So in January, I'm sorry, in March, we presented some numbers to the council. We had listed that the general fund was anticipated to have a $735,000 shortfall or budget deficit as we looked into next year. And down here, you can't see it, I don't know if you can or not, but the sanitation fund as well was looking at a budget deficit for next fiscal year 15, of $223,000. That was before we had the actual forecasted numbers from the Department of Revenue on state shared revenue. In the budget, we have absolved $1.373 million of additional expenditures that are tied to pension, increased health insurance, and increased salaries from council's decision in December. Yet, after we get the final numbers from the state and we're looking at our revenue projections, we're looking at a revised shortfall for fiscal year 15 at $329,000 in the general fund, down from $735,000. And in sanitation, it decreased a little bit, $209,000 from $223,000. Okay. I just want to identify, state shared also positively impacted these, HERF, but all of the surpluses in HERF, sewer, and water have gone back in to operations as a balancing. We need to provide a balanced budget to the city council. The surplus in HERF went into general materials and supplies that allows our staff to do road maintenance, whether it's crack fill or pothole or the fog seal, slurry seal, chip seal, things that we would do on low cost, things outside of the bond projects or the overweight fee stuff. Sewer and sanitation and water, sewer and water, we took those surpluses and we're putting them into a capital reserve. The city council approved a rate adjustment based off of a plan that was put into place. That plan called out various capital improvements being done over a period of time. In order for us to realize the benefit of those capital projects, we have to set aside money to pay for those. Some of that money is matching money to bonds that we would have to go out for over the period of time. But that's what these surpluses are doing, are going into that capital reserve, and that's where we're putting that money. By way of increases for state shared revenue, what we did in this previous budget that we gave you that showed these numbers is we just took the same state shared revenues that we had programmed this year because we hadn't gotten those forecasts. But when the forecast came in, state sales tax went up 82,000, almost 83,000. State income tax, more people being employed, maybe even better paying jobs, came in at an additional $198,000. That was the biggie. And VLT, the vehicle license tax, came in an addition of $72,000 for a total in the general fund of $353,000, almost $354,000. And then in HERF, there was an additional $69,000 that came in for HERF. Are there any questions on this? Okay. Again, what we did with the HERF surplus is we put that money into the street budget so that we can continue proactively taking care of our streets and the dilapidated roads that we have in our community. The state shared revenues number coming in the way that they did is a positive indicator. We've been talking over this last year about things happening at the state level. The new projected state shared revenues numbers coming in last week only further verify and validate those speculations that the state's economy is doing a whole lot better. Those numbers are up 6.8% from last year. Our local economy is doing better. Growth is still not quite at the peak, and I have this next slide. I love this slide. We identified over the last 10 years that this is probably our peak for the general fund in terms of revenue. With a total revenue source coming in from these three sources, city sales tax, state share revenue, and just the other category in the general fund of $16.1 million. With the new projected numbers that we got from the state, we're at the 14.6. Obviously, it's better than these recessionary years that we've experienced, but we're not quite back to the 08-09 year, and we're not at the definitely not at the 07-08, which is our peak. But we've added on $1.3 million. So it's important to note that we've done a lot in our operations. Our economy is getting better. We're not quite where we were a few years back, and I think I think, we can breathe a little easier once we get to that point, but we're not there yet. So I wanted to paint the picture for the council. Going back to this slide, this last bullet item is really focused on our discussion at next week. We're gonna have to sit down and we're gonna have to talk about how the council wants to direct staff by way of dealing with the budget deficit situation in the general fund, which is a far better picture right now, now that we have the new state share revenues numbers in and we have a better idea on what our local revenues are doing than we thought back in the first part of March. And what we want to do in the sanitation fund with the deficit of $200,000+. A lot of different options, and so just be gearing your mind around some of those things, and when we get to the floor on next Wednesday, we can just have a good discussion on some of those options and where we sit. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but this is really just an introduction. I encourage you to get into those documents that we've provided. A lot of information there, and then we can have a discussion on the 9th. Any questions?
Members of the council, no? Okay. We'll go discussion items. Item number 1, consideration possible action of the appointment of Mr. Rafael Lopez and Ms. Veronica Kreshner to the EDTAB board. The reason that these two people are on there is because 2 of the people that we appointed already, Mr. Philo Velasquez and Manny Noriega, decided that they couldn't take the responsibility for that. So, we have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Is there some business background on these people, or what is it?
Rafael Lopez is the deputy. Rafael Velasquez, and that's the position that goes with the education part of it. And Veronica Krashner, she's in marketing, and also she has a brokering type business. But Rafael is actually replacing Alfredo in his same office. That's his deputy, with Alfredo Velasquez.
Can I
Yes.
add that a little bit to that?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez also has his own business right next to Dr. Rojas's vet hospital. So he's also a businessman.
Yes.
Self-employed.
So these are 2 good people. Yes. Matter of fact, all 15 of the people that were appointed are very good people in the community. They can help us out a lot.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Their first meeting, which was last week, was incredibly positive in my humble opinion. They seem to have a lot of energy. They wanted to get their hands dirty, get into it, and get busy in working what you have asked them to do as a city council, which no doubt will generate further discussion and recommendations that will eventually land on your plates as a city council to make decisions.
What I liked about it, Councilman Diaz and myself attended the meeting, and what I liked about it is that Aaron basically told them that they were going to meet every 3 months, and I guess they want to meet monthly now, Aaron?
They're meeting in a week, so
Yes.
2 weeks.
So if that's what they want as community volunteers and leaders of the community, I think that's a great tool for economic development. And I want to thank you very much, Aaron, for the work too. You're going to be good in there. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Consent agenda A through G. H has been dropped. Do I have a motion? So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 7, orders. Number 1, consideration and possible action of order 2014-04-019.
Mr. Mayor, I believe this is
Yes.
establishing the authority to move forward with the ballot.
The ballot.
Yes. On hold.
Second.
Yeah, Aaron, go ahead.
Just, to get on the ballot, it does need a 5/7 vote.
Okay,
There's that one caveat.
okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Wait a minute, was there a motion?
Yes.
Who seconded?
I also second.
So Parada and.
Okay. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Consider, number 2, consideration possible action of order 2014-04-020.
So moving.
Thank you very much.
Second for discussion.
Discussion?
Thank you. Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
members of the council, if I can just quickly explain what's going on here. Back in 2005, the city went out and secured a little over $10 million in bonds. And then in 2006, it secured what I can calculate to be just slightly over $8 million in bonds. Whenever you go out for a bond like that, at least these two bonds, the city identified specific projects that it was going to accomplish. Over time, and this is all very appropriate, over time, the city council, over the years, the city council has, through vote of the council, through budget process and what have you, they've modified their priorities. They've changed their priorities. They said, well, you know, maybe this project isn't as valuable now to us as a community as maybe this project. And so we want to shift monies from here and get this project done. Even come up with new projects. It happens every year during, we do the capital asset inventory and you prioritize where you want the monies to go. Over that time, so when the first bonds came out, principal and interest payments were tied to various funds for those projects. Our auditor, in completing the 2013 audit, has identified that as time has gone on, we haven't shifted some of that bond principal and interest to different funds. The council action has been all okay, no problems there. The right to spend that money is established in the city council, and you have every right to reprioritize and say, well, instead of spending our dollars here, we want to spend it here, okay? That's all fine. The accounting side just hasn't kept up with, you know, with the council action. The city hasn't spent more money than it was supposed to. It just, the accounting side had to catch up. This action tonight is taking approximately $560,000 in accounting stuff, in fund balance, from water and sewer, because we had to, we ended up doing more projects there than did I explain that right? Who's here? Okay, I'm getting head nods. So we ended up prioritizing more water and sewer projects than we did street projects. But in order to do the water and sewer, we had to vice versa. Ended up doing more streets than we had planned, but we did the streets because we were doing water and sewer projects. You're tearing up the road, you got to put a new asphalt down. So what this is doing is this is taking fund balance from water and sewer and putting it into that Fund 300, which is your bond fund where you have all these projects at, so that the accounting can balance out. And then what we're doing from here on out, learning a lesson, is that anytime like this year we're going to go through the budget process, you're going to have $1.8 million that you're going to be asked, okay, where do you want this money to, how do you want to use this money? You prioritized it this way. We didn't do these projects, maybe we want to do different things. But whenever the council changes its priority list, we're going to, on the back end, make sure that the accounting side changes as well. And the city council understands, okay, that's going to have this impact and that's going to do this and that. It's not just on the one sheet anymore. There's going to be a follow-up action that is taken by city staff to make sure that the accounting follows hand in hand with the decisions that the city council is making year in and year out. So that's what this item is doing. These are the steps being recommended by Larson Allen, the auditor that the council contracts with to do the independent audit. And once we get this completed, he'll be able to complete his 2013 audit and then get it shipped out to you guys for review. So that's what this is.
Do we have one more water increase to go yet?
One more water increase it'll be February of 2015. then that plan is done. We'll be tucking the some of the surplus revenues into that capital reserve line so that we can accomplish the projects that we've promised the community through that rate study that was done.
Since you're on that, what is the percentage rate increase on that in the last year?
I don't know a percentage.
Or dollar sign?
$5.
I don't know the percentage of it.
I think it's a $5 increase in February 2015. I think that, on a percentage, I'm sorry, I can't tell you.
There's a split between water and sewer. The biggest increases first were in the sewer fund, then the water fund is catching up to that on the last year of that rate.
Our biggest deficit problem was in the sewer department, and so on the front end, the sewer received most of the benefit of the rate adjustment, and on the back end, the water is receiving most of the benefit. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 3, consideration possible action of order 2014-04-021.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you very much. Discussion? Go ahead.
Do we have one of those machines?
The mill machine, this is an asphalt recycler.
Do we have one?
Is this,
And it's the
no,
rubber
this is
roller.
not the same as a mill machine, is it?
We don't have
Or-
one.
we don't have one.
Okay, well, the county has one, no?
No, this kind of machine, nobody around here has one.
Oh, okay.
What we're gonna be doing with that is reusing some of the asphalt that we're removing from the street and recycling that to do small patching jobs through the city.
A lot of our problems operationally is that we'll cut a street, and then in order for us to order hot mix to come in, we have to buy that on a quantity. And so there's often a delay, and sometimes it's at the frustration of the public, even our own frustration. I watched a little video on this machine. I had no idea what it was about until I saw it come up through the process. But it'll do 2 tons of asphalt at a time, which is perfect for some of these little patch jobs that we have to do. And they just take the old material, they throw it into this hopper, they have a big burner that heats it up, and then they'll throw some kind of oil in there. So on the video, they threw the roof shingles off of your composition roof. They threw a couple of roof shingles in there, and that gave the oil content that it needed. And they dumped it out, and it was just like it came out of a truck. So we're hoping that it's going to be a real benefit to us. And being more timely and responsive to taking care of some of our roads. So.
We should contact the roofers in Nogales to use the recycling.
So are you gonna, so you'll be stocking up on millings for this?
We could use, that's the idea, that we have plenty of millings around, so we can use some of those millings. And also we can recycle some of the used oil from our shop that could go into that process, and so would be double benefit. So we don't have to pay a disposal fee when we can recycle that in the asphalt.
On the millings, ADOT's taking a lot of those millings, aren't they?
Well, they are giving those millings to us. They have tons and tons of.
I understand they want to do away with the millings.
Well, they wanna, they ask us.
What I mean is take them out before they do something with them.
Okay, yeah. What they are asking us is to have a special place, because they're gonna be doing Grand Avenue project.
Yes.
So they're gonna generate a lot more,
Yeah.
but they don't have the space there where they have been storing that for several years. So we are preparing a little bit in the back of our yard to kind of stockpile whatever they can give us.
And if you can, stockpile some of the ones from Grand Avenue when they mill it.
Well, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, but offer them a staging area so you can get.
Yeah.
If they're going to get rid of the ones over there by I-19, I mean, can we offer a place for that too?
Yeah, we're looking for a place for that too.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Great idea. Thank you very much. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 4, consideration possible action of order 2014-04-022.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 5, consideration possible action of order 2014-04-023.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item number 6, consideration possible action of order 2014-04-024.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second. For discussion,
Go ahead.
these,
Mr. Parada.
these police, vehicles will drive, for that amount, 123,646 for 3. SUVs, that's what they are.
Anybody can respond to that?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
members of the council, I'd like to have the chief come up. I believe this is kind of a positive move for our community, given, taking advantage of modern technology and racketeering. So chief, please.
Mr. Mayor, members of council,
Go ahead, Chief.
good to see you. So this large amount of money here, first off, is our seized assets from anti-racketeering. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring our fleet up to the standard that we feel is adequate for proper public safety and protection of our community. In so doing, we've identified what today is a very well-rounded vehicle that's used throughout the United States right now, and that's the Ford Interceptor. It's on an Explorer body. That number represents 3 fully marked, fully painted, fully equipped, turnkey ready vehicles that will hit the streets probably within the next week to 2 weeks. And they're going to be black and white, fully marked. The all-wheel drive gives us the capabilities of desertous terrain, in areas that, sometimes the 2-wheel drives might get stuck or bogged down.
Do you get any information on the state pool on purchasing this kind of vehicle?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
Councilman Parada, that bid that came through, or the number that came through, is straight off the state contract. So that's what the number is. When you input the painting that we did, the vehicles this time we purchased were black. And we found that in the past we bought white vehicles and then painted them black to make the black and white. But we found that the black that we put on after the fact doesn't do as well in the summer and in the sun here in Arizona. So we chose to go black, and now the doors are going to be painted white. We feel that's probably going to endure a little more. And but all the vehicles came off of state contract.
The other thing, Mr. Mayor, is this is, from all accounts, Chief, this is a more efficient SUV than going with the larger Expedition.
It is. It gives at least patrol an opportunity to do everything that the larger Expeditions do, but better gas, better economy on gas, and just a smaller vehicle. So I actually sat in one, and there's plenty of room. So that's probably one of the reasons why we got it, because I can see it.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor Ferrer.
This is the size in. It's like the what was the big one? Was Excursion? Is that it?
Explore the Expedition.
The Expedition's the big one, and then there was the Excursion. Or is Excursion gone?
They don't make any.
They don't make any more. So
Expedition Explorer.
this is like an Explorer.
This is an Explorer. They just
Okay.
call it the Interceptor. And the Interceptor, if you have time on your iPads, you can Google Interceptor, Police Interceptor, and it'll tell you, the phenomenal, things that are coming from it. There's little breakdown. Officers find it to be a comfortable, user-friendly vehicle that allows them to do,
The Explorer's a big enough, yeah.
It is.
It's a good size, and I'm sure it's probably 1,000 pounds less than the bigger version.
And Chief, they come with a turbo V6, right?
I do believe so, yes, sir.
They don't make them.
It's a V6, it is.
V6.
It is a V6. I don't know about the turbo, but.
Yeah, no, you took, it's a
Is
twin
it?
turbo.
Okay. It is a twin turbo.
Yeah, the 3.5 V6. They're real nice vehicles.
I heard the city council's gonna get one of them.
We haven't heard that, sir.
Councilman Views is already ready for.
Should have got it for it.
You're welcome to ride with any of our fine officers anytime. Thank you.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Item number 8, city manager's report, Mr. Dilly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of the council, just quickly wanted to bring your attention to an email that we received today. All of you know that that we've got property, the Kababi Ranch, right? And we've got some historical significance out there on our property. Archaeologists and everybody are out there digging and probing and asking questions. Anyway, an invitation has come out just today to the council. I guess they're gonna be filling in what they've discovered, and there's been an invite brought out to you as a city council member for this Saturday. And if you're interested, I know that our deputy city attorney is heavily involved with this, very passionate about it. If you're interested, maybe he can, I don't mean to offer him up, but maybe he can help coordinate you guys getting out there and being a part of that if you're interested. So let him know, okay? Wanted to let you know that seems to be a mass effort going on to bring some much needed and well-deserved attention to SR 189. Pinal County and PAG and Mayor Rothschild's office in Tucson, even members of Maricopa Association of Governments are all wanting to come together in support of SR 189. I've offered the city council chambers here to host that meeting. That meeting is scheduled for April 15th at 10 o'clock in the morning. If you're interested, just let T know so that she can make sure that that you're getting all the information that you need to be here and participate in that. But the whole idea is to try to make a push with the state to get SR 189 as the #1 project in the state for Tiger Grant. And maybe even be able to get that for the 2014 round. So I think that's the effort, and it's very exciting to see that kind of group come together and come here, and I think they've all agreed to be here. I'm asking who all is going to be in attendance. We might even have Mr. Holokowski here as well. So just keep that on your radar. We've got the Binational Economic Forum, 2 weeks from now. If you have any questions on that about agenda, if you want to attend, I know that Ms. Robinson can help make sure you get RSVP'd for that. So let her know about that. It's the second one. Either Aaron or Letty, okay? Whatever is most convenient. But make sure you get RSVP'd so that they know that you're planning on being there. And then just a reminder about the April 9th meeting. It's not just going to be a budget session meeting, although that'll be the primary focus of the meeting. There are going to be a couple other action items. Most worthy of notation is the fact that the county is proposing some ordinance changes to their floodplain ordinance. And I thought that it would be a good idea for us to get together as a council. I know Joe and his office have been looking at that and its impact, if any, on our community. But nevertheless, I think there's other issues that we can talk about in terms of our relationship with the county, things that we need to be working on to make that relationship better and bring the appropriate focus and attention that we deserve as a community in regards to the flood control district. So I'd like that to be a key point of our discussion on April 9th. With that, Mayor and Council, I don't have anything else.
Mr. Dewey, actually, I think you had one more item, that introduction that you were going to do.
Ah, thank you. I know you've all met, but I do want to formally introduce our new finance director. Sherry, if you please come up. Ms. Scherhammer comes. This is her second week with us, and she's jumped right in. I know that you all gave her a very warm welcome at the State of the City. Those of you that were able to attend, but please, if you could join me in welcoming her again, I would appreciate it.
Welcome. Well, thank you. The welcome's been very warm and sincere, and I appreciate it. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, welcome again.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sherry.
Very good. Thank you very much.
That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any future agenda items? Yes, go ahead.
You said April 9th. What is on April 8th? I think you called me about April 8th.
Thank you. The county was pushing to have both the city of Nogales and the town of Patagonia meet with the county out in Patagonia. They were hoping to have made that happen tomorrow. We were hoping to have met with the county on the 8th. And my understanding was that it was just going to be you as a city council and the board of supervisors, but the county wanted it, the city council, board of supervisors, and the city council or the town council from Patagonia. Honestly, I don't think that's in our best interest. I think our interests are best served by having, if we are going to have a joint meeting, having a joint meeting between the city council and the board of supervisors, talking about our issues, talking about our relationship, and that is all we're talking about, instead of being convoluted with other types of things out there. So I've scrapped the April 8th meeting. We'll discuss on April 9th all the issues that we need to, and if you have direction for staff, I'll go with whatever you guys
April
want.
9th meeting, what time is that?
That'll be at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
4 o'clock. Sorry for the confusion.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and before we go, well, is there any future agenda items? Yes, go
I
ahead.
got something for discussion. You know how cramped the parking lot got here today? People had to park across the street. I had to park at the bank, at Chase Bank. If we could give some kind of direction to Mr. Barcenas to see how feasible it'd be to acquire and maybe to acquire and do something with the lot behind Chase Bank. See if we can acquire it and see if it's feasible, if we can do a parking lot there. It would help the police department immensely, and when we have events here, you know, for people to park. So if we could just have them look at it and see if it would be
Are you suggesting a future agenda item, because that's not on the,
Yes,
we can't give direction or something?
Yeah,
okay,
future agenda item.
Future agenda item.
I have one too.
Go ahead.
Going all over again, I want an update on the Meadow Hills Country Club and what's going on with the unit source from the customer service.
As an agenda item, or?
Yes, well, I don't know if you can discuss it or not.
Well, we really can't discuss it at this point, but I'd be happy to tell you what's going on right now. But things are moving.
Anybody else? Anything else?
One more thing?
Yes.
I see how the water rates and the sewer rates are coming up to par. Like, for a future agenda item, see if we could discuss a rate and not have a rate increase in February. Because a lot of people are having a hard time making ends meet, and they're complaining about the high water rates and all that. So if from now in February, we can maybe ease that pain off and not do the increase.
Okay, so we're gonna put it on the agenda, we'll discuss it.
Sure.
Okay.
I'd be happy to talk to you about that as well, Councilman.
Oh. Remember, I was the only one that voted no on that one. I love to say that all the time. and this is not a future agenda item, just reminding everybody that Serve the City campaign, that's on the 12th. If everybody can get together and help the police department and just go out there and do some cleanup. There you go, my friend. That we can all participate, and we did a great one last year doing Mariposa Road, and I know we've got some great locations in the city, and let's try to get our community, mustered up for this, and it's get another a good cleanup for the city. So.
What's that date?
That's on the 12th. The 12th, the Serve the City campaign. And I guess that's all we got. This meeting's adjourned.